uh,
Sam, shut the fuck up.
Howdy everyone, it's Sam. I hope you're all doing really well. If you're new around here, I hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. And if you are a regular around these parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. And if you are new around here, please go and check out the man that is joining me tonight for the round 9 live match preview of Cowboys versus Knights, Mr. Ztank99. Please, man, everyone, g'day, mate. How you going?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, dude, you're coming in crystal clear, man. I hope I am for you as well, dude. Again, Ztank99, the link to his channel is in the description box below. And he is as you can tell, and as you can see, he's an avid Newcastle Knights supporter. And we're going to dig into the round 9 clash very shortly. But just as a kickoff, I'd like to introduce some new people to you by talking about and having you talking about why it is Newcastle Knights was the club that you chose to start barracking for, mate.
Chose is a very interesting word, but basically my whole family prior to the basically like my whole family's been rugby league like mad even before the Knights came in, because like my parents like 13, 14 when the Knights came in, so they watched rugby league beforehand. Originally, they were all Para supporters. But obviously, when there was the announcement that Newcastle would get a team, that was it. And a funny story, actually, if it wasn't for the Knights, my parents would actually have never met. They actually met at a Knights game. I think my father was like, he would like basically like put the cones out on the field, and basically they met through mutuals. And yeah, so if it wasn't for the Knights, I kind of wouldn't be here.
Oh my God, Newcastle well and truly runs through the veins and the blood, man, of your family. That's an amazing story. How, if you don't mind me asking, how was it that your dad got involved with the Knights, man? Or
I don't know the key specifics, but I think like maybe he was. I think because he did used to play rugby league when he was younger. So like, I think they met when my parents met when they were like 15, 16. So this would have been like really early on in the Knights with the old Henny Penny logo. And yeah, that's as far as I know. But yeah, it's kind of mental. And basically, ever since we were all born, like the new generation of my family, we've all gone for all the Newcastle teams. And yeah.
Do you remember your first match out there at the old Marathon Stadium, mate?
I don't know it specifically, but I do know like a few key details. I think it's either 2005, 2006, and it was against South Sydney. And I do remember Andrew Johns did play, so this was before he retired. I think we won that match. I don't know if this was... Because I think in 2005, like when we beat South, it was like one of the few games we won because it was the first year we got the wooden spoon. Or we basically came second last. So I think it was along those lines.
And as far as matches attended, mate, is there a match that sticks out to you as being just above and beyond everything else that you've attended?
I went to the Knights prelim final back in 2013 against the Roosters. Basically, we did like the old school way, the bus full of supporters up from Newcastle down to the Sydney Football Stadium, and basically it was all good. Like half the stadium was filled with Knights fans. because we just beat Melbourne, so everybody thought, oh, we could do the impossible, and then the game happened, and basically from that point on, it was like because the Roosters ran away with it in the first half, but it was still like a fantastic experience.
Yeah, and Danny Badiris obviously in that game was knocked out, and that was his last ever game, man. I don't mean to sound like I'm sinking the boot in or have you relive a terrible time sort of thing. But what was the feeling like, man, when Danny Badiris was seen stretch it off, being there in attendance live supporting Newcastle, mate?
That was like, oh, that's it, because it was hyped up that this was his last season, and basically the fight, because we beat the Bulldogs in the elimination final, then we beat Melbourne in Melbourne, basically off because it was his final season, and yeah, pretty much when he went off, I'm like, yeah, this is the game's done. And ever since then, because I think it was like a hit on Rio Hargreaves hit him. It wasn't anything illegal or anything, but it was just a tackle gone wrong, and Badiris had to be taken off. So there's a little bit of not animosity, but like to Rio Hargreaves, I think he's a good bloke. But anyways, but yeah, that's how I felt when he did come off.
And if I can take you back like a week, like before the prelim final, what was the atmosphere like in Newcastle, man? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard were people buzzing in the town when they defeated the Storm in Melbourne?
Oh, it was like probably not seen since like genuinely 2001. There's like my parents described, because I was only like 1 year old when 2001 happened. So, and it's just like everybody thought like we could do it.
Yeah, and yeah, no, and I can't remember if Roosters were minor premiers that year. I think they were minor premiers, but yeah, Knights would have been so up for it after beating Melbourne in Melbourne. And so far as players go, Ztank99, mate, what are some of your favourite players of all time, please?
So obviously like Johns is there, but is up there. But the thing because Johns retired in 2007 and I was 7, so like my first memory, like proper memory of Andrew Johns was like round 1, 2007, when he gets knocked out against the Bulldogs. Yeah. So it's like but so most of my memories of watching the Knights grow up came from like the 2009, 10, 11 years, and so basically had like Achille Iwade, Cooper Voon, Junior Sal were just brilliant attackers. Like especially when Achille Iwade was paired up with Adam McDougall, like that was an unbelievable pairing. But in terms of now, it would actually be Mitch Barnett. It was thrown into question after round 3. When he did what he did to Chris Smith, which I'm still baffled as to why he did it.
Yeah. No, look, hey, man, Mitch Barnett, he was on the cusp of playing Origin maybe 18 months ago, bro. I've liked Mitch Barnett for a while myself, bro. So, yeah, it was totally out of whack, out of sync when he stuck the elbow out to Chris Smith. But I think he's been great for Newcastle. And I've sort of likened Lachlan Fitzgibbon and Mitch Barnett as these two really good pillars that Newcastle have had now for, maybe 5 years now. I'm guessing off the top of my head, admittedly. But no, I'm right there with you with Mitch Barnett. I think he's been sensational for the Newcastle Knights since his debut. Now, before we get into the match preview, I just want to sort of touch on just some of the history between the Cowboys and the Knights. So, in my opinion, and it wasn't until I really sort of deep dived into the history of it a couple of months ago, Cowboys and Knights in the mid-2000s, maybe from 2004 until maybe 2007, 2008, they had some really entertaining, some classic matches. And I wanted to ask you, have you seen those matches? Do you recall those matches at the time between the Cowboys and Knights between 2004 and 2007?
I might have subconsciously, but I don't have an exact memory that sticks out. I think like in terms of a match that I have a memory of, I think it was like 2000 and then maybe even 2000 like 14, 15 along those lines. As per my earliest memory of the Knights Cowboys, I think the Knights did break away like with like probably like 30 to go, but then the Cowboys started coming back. Like the Knights still ended up winning. I think it was like I think they were up by like 24, but then it finished like by 8. So it was like if there was like 5 minutes remaining, there would have been we would have been in a bit of trouble. But yeah, I may have watched one of those matches, but I can't remember it unfortunately.
No, you're right, man. I think I recall the match you're talking about too. Bug it if I know if I can remember if it's 2014 maybe. But yeah, I recall it was a Saturday afternoon game, Cowboys and Knights, and yeah, they had the lead Newcastle and Cowboys started fighting back. That was a good one. The matches I refer to, you've got the 2004 Golden Point extra time game where the Cowboys got the ball off the kickoff. There was a contest where it was Easter Sunday, and Ray Warren and everybody else on Channel 9, it was a free-to-air game. They were waxing lyrical, going off deluxe about how good the contest was with a Matty Bowen chip kick to get the win for the Cowboys. And there were other wins for Newcastle there. But yeah, I just think between 2004 and 2007, it felt like that the media, Channel 9, really were getting behind this game, this fixture, whenever it came about. So just for a little while there, it was sort of like, I don't want to say must-see because it wasn't ever like a finals or grand finals sort of must-see television event. But like back in the mid-2000s, Cowboys and Knights contests, man, they were hot to trot, bro, for a period of time there. Now, let's get stuck into this year. Let's get stuck into the present now, mate. So on Saturday night, 7:30 kickoff, we have the Cowboys and the Knights kicking off from Queensland Country Bank Stadium. And the Cowboys are the favourites going into this game. Newcastle Knights are indeed the outsiders. So I just want to show you, Ztank, if you can see that, can you take us through the side that was selected by Adam O'Brien today, mate?
Yep, certainly. So at fullback is our captain Kalen Ponga. Our two wingers are Edric Lee and Dominic Young, returning from injury that he picked up against Manly. You know, Bradman Best and Anari Tuala in the centres. Tex Hoy playing at 5'8" because I've read something's happened with Clifford. Hopefully he's okay. Crossland starts at halfback. I think Clune picked up an injury last week. You know, Clemmer, David Clemmer, Chris Randall, and Daniel Saifidi as the prop hooker prop. You got Tyson Frizzell and Lachlan Fitzgibbon, another player back from injury, as the second rowers. Leo Thompson at lock. The subs, interchange, currently Jack Johns, Jacob Saifidi, Matthew Croker, and Pasami Saulo. The extended bench, Simi Sasagi, Christian Mapapalangi, Jaron Purcell, Braden Musgrove, Dylan Pythian, Kobe Rugless, and Ben Talty.
And just going through the some of the news, the team list news now, man. It is a dropping of Jake Clifford. Adam Clune has succumbed to the injuries that he has been battling through over the past couple of weeks now. And Kurt Mann as well was almost going to play, but he does remain on the sideline with an ankle injury. Going into the Cowboys team list news now, not much of a difference. Scott Drinkwater retains his spot in the fullback jersey. Kyle Felt, Murray Tuolungi are our wingers. Valentine Holmes, Peter Hiku, our centres. Did and Townsend, our halves. McLean and Ruben Cotter has officially got jersey number 10 on his back, which is insane to me, man. Reece Robson is our hooker. Tom Gilbert, Nanai, Taumalolo are our back row. And Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow backs up. There was a whisper that he would miss because he did feel his PCL pinch again throughout the win against the Parramatta Eels up there in Darwin this past Saturday. But he has been named to play. Hylam Lukey and Cohen Hess and Griffin Neame round off the bench with Jermaine Tanua-Brown in a jersey number 18. Guess first, please, man. As a Newcastle Knights fan, Are you pleased or are you a little bit down that you? It's not a. It's a pretty different looking Newcastle Knights lineup this week. Are you happy with the changes, or would you have liked to have seen Adam O'Brien persist?
I do. I am glad that Fitzgibbon and Young are back. They're two players I feel like we have desperately missed when they've been gone. Crossland is fairly good. He hasn't had that much consistent game time in terms of being halfback, but and you got Tex Hoy, which I believe he does play 5'8", but I don't know if he's played 5'8" for the Knights yet. So there's been a bit of like shifting between Daniel and Jacob Saifidi in terms of which one starts, which one's on the bench. I would like both of them starting because when they're together, they're usually pretty good. But in terms of what's happening with the Knights, I feel like this is sort of the best team that we could practically field. So a little bit down, but we'll persist through it.
So Jake Clifford, mate, I think he started the year on fire, and I've always had this great hope that Jake Clifford was going to have a blockbuster year sort of thing one of these days, and it did look like it. It's just interesting to ask you, man, to get a Newcastle Knights fan's perspective, from a Cowboys fan and ex-player sort of thing. Jake Clifford, an old Cowboys player. What did you make of Jake Clifford when he first got signed by Newcastle, and how have you taken to him, man? How have you seen him since in his time in Newcastle?
I mean, honestly, he's probably one of our star players. He's because he joined midway through last season because he was meant to join at the beginning of this year, but they basically, like, I don't know if there was like, oh, you can go now kind of thing with, if I can remember correctly.
No, you're right, there was. Yes.
But he definitely like the Knights have had like halves pairing problems ever since like Andrew Johns retired, so it is going to be hard for someone to fill those boots. I mean, for anybody, it's hard. But I definitely feel that Clifford is a very solid 5'8". Yes, he did have a really good start this season, and then it's kind of gone on the downhill. But in fairness, I think with the whole Knights team, it's gone down a downhill, so it's not exactly shocking to say the least. But yeah, I definitely do like Jay Clifford. He's fairly important to the Knights.
Right. And just to touch on Tex Hoy, I wanted to go through the stats and sort of to see what was happening with him in New South Wales Cup form. And Tex Hoy, man, he has had a few games at 5'8". He has missed 1 or 2 games, I suspect, from injury, just because he wasn't named on the Newcastle Knights side, both New South Wales Cup and first grade on that same day, same week. So Tex Hoy, it's not as if he's coming into the game without any 5'8" experience, but he is probably going to come into the game without any first grade 5'8" experience, if that makes sense as well. Tex Hoy, man, Andrew Johns has labelled him as a really good prospect. Hopefully one to stay in Newcastle Knights colours for a really, really long time. Tex Hoy, mate, do you have an opinion on Tex Hoy, or is he still just a little bit, has he got still too much to uncover yet, mate?
I think it's definitely, he's got too much to uncover. I think maybe he did make a few first grade appearances. If I remember, I'm trying to remember what position. Maybe it was fullback when Ponga was out, because I think was when Tex Hoy played. But yeah, I think there's still a lot to uncover about Tex Hoy.
He made his debut, correct me if I'm wrong, when when the Newcastle Knights and Penrith Panthers had that draw, that famous draw a couple of years back.
Yeah.
Yes, and I thought he showed some pretty nice signs there. And he was fullback for you guys when Kalen Ponga was injured. In jersey number 20 when the Knights trounced the Tigers back in round 2 this season as well. It's just, yeah, I guess, I'm more of the opinion of you two. There is still so much left to discover about this young man, Tex Hoy, that Joey Johns, of all people, has rapped about immensely. The other person that I want to touch on is David Clemmer, mate. I'll drop a hot take. I found out last night because I watched NRL 360. I'm a little astounded that David Clemmer is going to be on, or is on, 900 grand, a little bit less, under 900 grand. How have you seen David Clemmer in his time in Newcastle? And as a Newcastle Knights fan, I know it's a bit of a grilling question, I know. But if you don't mind, can I ask, what's your opinion on the price packet on David Clemmer, and how have you assessed him and as such, mate?
Personally, like I'm not the biggest fan of David Clemmer being when you have so far how he's played at the Knights. He's been too inconsistent. Like, you would have one game where he shows off his worth, but then he kind of fades into the background for a couple of matches. That's kind of basically how it's been, because he's things like since 2020 he's been at the Knights, I think, or 20, or maybe no, it was 20. I think it might have been 2020, but yeah, it's unfortunately it's just too much inconsistencies personally, and I don't think it's worth 900k, to be completely honest. But
Yeah, I don't think he's worth 900k, but I don't think he's a bad player at all. I think he has been. I think last year he had a terrible run of injury as well, like completely unlucky in that regard. But I mean, since he's been there, he has played a couple of final series as well. So that is definitely a positive. As so far as speaking, and now to evolve from positives, mate, in your opinion, what are the positives in this team lineup?
I think this in terms of positives, this definitely gives it gives a chance for like some players like sort of on the fridge to get some game time. I mean, like Jack Johns. I mean, I don't need to explain the last name Johns to the significance of Newcastle. I would like him to develop like more into maybe a starting play, but then again, like probably the amount of pressure that's going to be on him because it's Johns and it's like, it is hard. I am glad that our players are starting to come back from injury, because you got Dominic Young and Lachlan Fitzgibbon, and I think you've got I know Barnett comes back next week from his suspension. I think there's a few other players coming next week for the game against the Bulldogs, but for the game now, there's a young team and a bunch of young players wanting to prove themselves, like Tex Hoy wanting to prove himself to be in the first grade squad. So I think in terms of actually going into the match, maybe there isn't too many positives, but in terms of like development and experience, I think that's where the positives are going to be for the Knights.
Now, if you just give me a hot second, let me share my screen with you, mate. So this is the casualty ward for the Newcastle Knights, and this is the main thing. And you've just touched on it there, and this is what I really wanted to discuss with you about, mate. Newcastle Knights, looking at that, besides maybe Manly Seagulls at the moment, I think they're unfortunately for the second year in a row. I think this year they are the most injury-affected team. So looking at that, Matt Croker has been named to play this weekend. He will line up Fitzgibbon, Momasia. So as you said there, you've got 4 coming back, and you were correct. Mitch Barnett there comes back in round 10. Hodjo, I'm not too sure who Bailey Hodgson is, to be honest with you, but it's if you could just nab a couple wins before bye round, it will keep your season alive. It will keep the blood pumping, sort of thing, mate. But Dane Gagai, man, I think. What's your opinion, mate? Dane Gagai, mate, he's been fantastic for Newcastle this year. What do you reckon?
Yeah, he's aged like a fine wine. I know that like in the like when he was at the Knights near the latter end before he went to South Sydney, like there was a bit of criticism about how he would play okay for the Knights, but when Origin came up for Queensland, he would play his heart out and be arguably like the best player, which was maybe sort of a thing when he was at South Sydney, but he's an experienced centre that the Knights need. In the 9-hour live stream before the season, I brought up about how when Akila Iwade was paired with Adam McDougall next to him as this veteran that aids the young player, it helps Akila Iwade's development really well. And I'm glad to sort of see there has been glimpses of Dane Gagai helping Dominic Young and Dominic, but that pairing it was essential in our wins against the Roosters and the Tigers. And like I think Dominic Young is I don't want to like make a proclamation and then like this get edited into like takes that age horribly, but I think if Dominic Young, if he keeps going at it, he'll be like arguably one of the best players in the NRL.
Wow, that big of a bloody rap on him, mate. And look, to be fair, man, look, he's got the size. He's definitely got the speed as well. Just needs to work a little bit more on his defense. And I'm sure he'll come out guns blazing because I think last year just his youth was sort of just found out a couple of times. But to start the year, he's been, I agree in the sense that he's actually been rather solid for Newcastle this year as well, man. I think the battle that I'm really most looking forward to, I'm just going to put the overlay up here now, man. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Edric Lee is going to be lining up against Kyle Felt this weekend. There is not a single chance that either man is going to get the jump over the other. There's not a chance, man. And they're both and they're both veterans and they're both Queensland State of Origin representatives. So that's one of the matchups that I'm so looking forward to this weekend, man. Is there another matchup for you that you're quite enticed by this weekend there, mate?
Could you just show the Cowboys lineup so I could just have a, because I've got the Knights one written up. I think maybe Nanai and Fitzgibbon, that will be I think that might be a very interesting battle in the forward packs because I highly rate Nanai. I think he's been fantastic for yous, and depending on how Fitzgibbon, how hard he goes and coming back from injury, I think it's going to be a really good battle there.
Yeah, I do too. And the other second row battle as well, man. Tom Gilbert and Tyson Frizzell. It's a no bullshit battle between those two blokes, man. If they get stuck into each other, and if they do, I'm sure they're lining up on one another as well, man. That's going to be such a hard-hitting battle to watch, man. Frizzell versus Tom Gilbert. Just granite on granite for sure, man. Now, if I may, I'd like to deep dive in. Well, not deep dive. I want to talk about North Queensland Cowboys now, and I think it's no surprise who I'm going to talk about initially. Hamiso Tabuai for Doe, man. He hit the paddock last week against Parramatta in Darwin with 14, maybe 15 minutes remaining. He, in that final 14, 15 minutes, ran for over 150 metres, scored himself a try, and made us look like a level just below Penrith and Melbourne. Hamiso Tabuai for Doe, man. He could have an elite year. I don't think he is an elite player, but if that was his last injury that he's just recovered from for the rest of the year, he could find himself as winger, centre, or fullback of the year, mate. My question to you, though, bro, is what is Hammer's position?
What is his position? I'm trying to remember because I did watch the bloody the Cowboys Para game. Is this a quiz or is this like me? Are you asking about?
Oh no, I'm sorry for not phrasing that correctly, mate. Or I'm sorry for not phrasing it crisply.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
No, mate. In your opinion, mate, how how would you position Hammer, mate? Who gets the chop from the Cowboys lineup, and how would you have Hammer play, bro?
What did he play when he came on? Who did he replace?
Yep. So he replaced Peter Hiku.
Peter Hiku's pretty good as well. That's I will say that's the 1 to 5. That is a very solid and very hard to sort of take one player out there. But I definitely think center and winger is just his position. Like, is when he came on, basically, it turned a solid scoreline into an embarrassing scoreline to in Parramatta's point of view. It's it's gonna be very hard. I think he honestly, at this moment, would just come on as an impact player at the moment. But I would like to see him play in the centres, definitely.
Yeah, it's such a hard one, man. Like, Jake Granville was one of the massive reasons why the Cowboys won in 2015, the whole bloody thing. He had a sensational year, and nobody knew what to do with him defensively, mate. He was just a pocket rocket, mate. But he was just a mongrel in defense at the same time. So for him to be missing from the lineup, man, to be the one to have the tap on the shoulder, to be cut, it was always going to be a tough decision on whoever was going to miss. And it's unfortunately looking like it's going to be Jake Granville for the time being. Now, so far as whether Hammer should remain in jersey number 14 for the rest of the year, that's not going to happen. I say that because Hammer is free to negotiate from November 1st this year. It's not that his contract is up this year. It's 2023 where his contract's up, but he's obviously free to negotiate November 1st. Sign him up forever. Sign him up. Get the code, remember it, and throw it into the sun. Sign him up forever. Because fair dinkum, when he came on, as you just said yourself, man, I completely agree, man. He made a respectable win turn into a first-class win when he came on with only 14 minutes to go, bro. And now speaking of fullbacks, man, Scott Drinkwater, I feel like I was maybe a bit harsh on him because he did move up from Melbourne in 2018, 19. In any event, I noticed the stat that he missed more tackles than anybody in the NRL last season. And at the moment, Jeremiah Nanai is leading that unfortunate statistic as well. So that is something I'm concerned about, especially with Lachlan Fitzgibbon running at him this weekend. Scott Drinkwater, I need to write an apology letter to, because over the off season, him getting fit again, recovering from an injury, and having friendly competition with Tom Dearden, Chad Townsend, and Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, it has woken up the beast inside of Scott Drinkwater, and he's just about been man of the match for 3 weeks in a row, man. And I think Chad Townsend has a lot to do with it. What I want to ask you, mate, and it is a question that the gentlemen on Bloke in a Bar have spoken about. It's something that the NRL 360 boys have spoken about as well. But it is a conversation that really should be highlighted, in my opinion. And maybe that's a little bit of bias because I'm a Cowboy supporter. Chad Townsend, man. I want to ask you about Chad Townsend. In your opinion, is he up there with Buy of the Year?
He's certainly up there. I mean, like, I was a little bit like, I don't know, it was a bit of an interesting, when I first heard about him being signed by the Cowboys, because he was with Cronulla and then he went to the Warriors last year. I think it was something along those lines.
Correct.
Right. Because my main memory of Chad Townsend was when he hit the shot on Kalen Ponga when he tried to take the 20-meter tap. And but yeah, he's been fantastic for the Cowboys. He's certainly easily, I wouldn't say easy, but probably like top 5 like buys of the year. It's definitely probably the most underrated compared to the other ones, because you've obviously had like Nico Hines to Cronulla and stuff like that. But yeah, Chad Townsend he's really step. I won't say stepped up because he's always been solid, but he's now gone on to another level being at the Cowboys.
Yep. Well, and it's just speaking of halves, man, and I do want to just jump back into Newcastle because you are our guest, and if you are just tuning in now, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ztank99, and he is joining me to talk about the Cowboys and Knights this Saturday night, and the link to his channel is in the description box below. And I thank you so much for your time, man. I really do. The question that I want to ask, and so Adam O'Brien, man, it is a question that I did forget to ask about 10 minutes ago, by the way, just quietly. But I wanted to ask you about Kalyn Ponga. I wanted to ask you about the resist of temptation by Adam O'Brien to put Ponga into the 5/8 jersey this weekend, mate. Obviously, Texoy and Phoenix Crossland are there this weekend. And there was whispers maybe a year ago that there is potential, there is a shot that he will be working his way into a 5/8 position at Newcastle, especially with Mitchell Pearce sort of umming and ahhing about his future. Kalyn Ponga, mate, do you think Kalyn Ponga is he going to be your 5/8? Will he be your 5/8 at any stage this year? And if so, do you like it or do you not like it?
If I think he played a few games. I don't know if it was the start of 2020. He started at 5/8 for a couple of games, and it wasn't that great because I don't think 5/8 suits him. But if he is in developing with that, maybe we probably might see him once or twice. But I don't think it's going to be like at the moment. I don't see like. So, in terms of 5/8, would that mean maybe like I don't know, Clifford goes to halfback, or because I probably would prefer Clifford over Ponga in the 5/8 role.
Yeah, I would if Ponga was ever to be selected at 5/8 this season, man. I'd have to stick Adam Clune in at halfback and drop Jake Clifford to either 14 or off completely. If Ponga ever gets selected at 5/8, I just think Adam Clune, who I have a nice rap on as well, just quietly, I think Adam Clune just can and will direct the team around a bit nicer, a bit more fluently than Jake Clifford could in halfback position. That's nothing to take away from Jake Clifford, though, at the same time. Yeah, so let's start to sort of wrap things up now, man, and give us your tip, bro. Can I ask for your tip? Who do you think is going to win? What do you reckon the margin's going to be? And can you give us an anytime try scorer?
Okay, so if I remember a little bit of like a backstory in terms of my thinking, if I remember last year when we played up at Townsville, I think the Cowboys had like a really good start, and then the Knights only really came into the game when I think one of the Cowboys players got sin-binned, and I think it was a very soft one at that. And the Cowboys still won by like 14 or 16. So unless something like that happens where one of the Cowboys, like Nanai, I don't know, puts the elbow up on, I don't know, bloody Crossland or something, which I don't think would happen. I would probably say probably Cowboys by 20. Personally, like I know I've got to like back me team, but it's just the current state of the moment is not that great. In terms of anytime try scorer, I think Fitzgibbon. Will get a try in his first game back because I think also when they played last year, I think it was Fitzgibbon's first game back from injury as well or it was his first game. So yeah, that's my prediction for this match.
I don't want to say, I don't want to sort of, gloat about it or sink the boot in, mate, but I like it. I mean, I won't argue with it for sure, man. Not the only concern, the main concern that I got is that they just won in Darwin. they worked their backsides off for about 60 minutes in defense. And I'm just weary of the possibility that they could go back home and feel like they've just had the energy zapped from them. So that's my own concern. They might come out flat this weekend. Crossing my fingers, touching wood that they don't. So that's my main concern. And I'm afraid that Kalen Ponga, in his return game to North Queensland, it may not be his first, but he is an ex-Cowboys player, and he is coming back up to Townsville. So it is, there is that little bit of an element there to Kalen Ponga as well. Oh, no. Ztank, I'm just going to let you know, bro, that your screen is frozen. So I'll get you to work on that. You're starting to come back to fruition now, mate. I'm going to tip the Cowboys to win this one by 13 plus, though. I think an anytime try scorer. I'm going to go I'll go Tom Gilbert. I think I'll go Tom Gilbert. If we can weave some magic for him to sort of get one-on-one with Kalen Ponga, I think he can give him a big don't argue and go over for an anytime try. Ztank99, man, if you're there, can you hear me? Unfortunately, we've just lost Ztank99. I will remove him from the stream, and I'll just keep an eye on him. So, anyways, the Dodo Bird got Ztank99. You bloody bastards. Anyway, I'll just cut it off there, man, unless if Ztank can get back in the next couple of seconds. To everybody that's tuned in tonight, to the 6 of you that are currently watching, thank you so much for the support, man. Cowboys Knights, that's been the match review. The Dr. Bird got bloody Ztank99. Anyway, I will talk to you all later. Have a very nice weekend, and please go and check out Ztank99's channel. I really enjoyed that conversation with him. He has just recently hit 1,000 subscribers as well. So all the absolute best to him in the future, and I'd love to have him back on as well. Just before I go, I'll just quickly go into the stream. Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much, Balkovich. Thank you very much for the compliment, mate. Thank you very much. Jason Reader, hey man, thank you so much as well. Everyone, please go and check out Ztank99's channel. Trust me, the connection doesn't ever let him down, mate. So maybe I'm just a bit of bad luck on. Anyway, guys, adios. I'll talk to you all later. Thank you all.